car. Everything is as organized as it possibly can be. By that I mean not organized at all. Oh my god. This was a crazy leg in my journey. It's crazy that my dad lives just over that hill. And I've got, the room that I basically lived in downstairs of his house. I can't talk right now. I have a space there that's for me. It is my space. My shit is there. But I don't feel like he wants to see me. I also don't feel comfortable going back there. It's the scene of the crime. My fucking stepmom lives there. And it's just crazy that I've been living this way with a backpack and just my Autobot. I didn't expect to cry. This is like brand new to me, like recording myself like this. Another reason why I'm crying is, excuse me. Hold on. Had to set my phone down to take my glasses off. I'm crying also for so many reasons. Well, I have emotional dysregulation, right? Although I think that has nothing to do with why I'm crying right now. I'm crying because of life and that I'm just a human with feelings. I had an appointment with my psychiatrist. It was a mandatory in-person meeting. I was meeting with a nurse practitioner. They pulled up my account and was like, why are you here? Because based on the medications I'm on, this was the same question I had, because I had been taking ADHD meds, which I know are a controlled substance, but I'm not currently taking them because I really don't think I have ADHD. But instead it's BPD and trauma that looks a hell of a lot like ADHD. Anyway, I had tissue somewhere. Yeah, it was a nice appointment because even though it turns out did not need to be there since my meds are not controlled, this nurse practitioner was amazing. Juliano, which is really interesting actually, because I'm sure I'm reading into it too much, but I'm noticing a theme. When you tune into the frequency of life, you pick up on themes, such as this one, my name being Julia and my nurse practitioner being Juliano, and we totally connected and bonded, and I'll tell you more about that. But I'm very scattered, if you couldn't tell, and it's not ADHD, I swear, or maybe it is, who the fuck knows. And then my next destination right now, with all that, is Emeryville, because I found a sublease for a teeny tiny home. It's not what I ever imagined for myself. I had grand visions as a kid, like where I just designed my own house with like a fountain inside, and all the way down to the way my address would be displayed outside. Because apparently money grew on a tree back then. But in my unstable state and just scrambling to find a safe place to call home, since this pet sitting experience has been like so rewarding, just the animal therapy and being able to experience a slice of life in places I never would have experienced living in otherwise. But in case I haven't said it enough, it's fucking exhausting. Like with a capital F. Okay, what was I saying? Okay, so my sublease, I don't know what her title is, like, oh, excuse me, their title is, like, if they're my landlord, or like how all that vernacular works. But this person, my POC, point of contact, there we go, their name is Julian. So we got the trifecta. And I don't know, it's moments like these where it feels like the planets, I don't know, like the universe is telling me that everything's gonna be okay. I mean, that's honestly the only perspective I can take, you know, in order to keep moving forward. So, yeah, the reason for the tears just now is because talking with that nurse practitioner, Juliano, they were delightful. You know, like when you meet someone, I don't know, maybe it's just the whole favorite person thing from BPD. I don't know, but I really feel like this person was genuinely like really like a special snowflake. Yeah, felt a connection with them, and getting that validation and hearing it through their words. They were like, I'm sorry you're going through this. And the way they described BPD was a way I'd never heard of. Because they asked me, like, do I know why they call it borderline personality disorder? And I said, well, I had the same question when I first got the diagnosis, so I Googled it. And yeah, it's something like it borders on psychosis, and they stopped me. They're like, no, it's not that. And went on to explain that it's called borderline because it borders on all the major disorders. There are days where the person is fine, other days where it's like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, you're cool. And then days where you're manic, days where there's a trigger, you do something to let out the anguish, whether it's drinking or sex or whatever. And then days where it's all back to normal. Because they asked me, like, do I agree with the diagnosis? And I said, resounding yes. It makes so much sense. It's so black and white, if you will. My mom abandoned me. I'm living out of my fucking car. I didn't know if I'd have a roof over my head tonight. We joked about it, you know, because that's the only way I know to just process this shit. And they also said how, yeah, when we find something that is comfortable, it's a new feeling. It's like, what is this? I don't like this. And that's what happened in my most recent breakup. You know, it was the best, healthiest, happiest most lovingest relationship I've ever been in. I love this person so much. It's not a favorite person type of thing. It's like, no, I love this person. You just feel it. I just feel it. And having this space and time apart, and as I'm learning more about BPD, and they talk about it in The Body Keeps Score too, which is, you know, when we find ourselves in situations that are just not what we're used to, we will sabotage it. And it's not like I actively thought that, like, oh, let me sabotage the best thing that's ever happened to me. Like, obviously no. But yeah, it's weird how, yeah, this is why my psychiatrist keeps saying, like, I can't use logic to get myself through this, because none of it makes sense. Like, I will always regret just losing out on, you know, the one that got away. Fucking sucks. But yeah, to understand, you know, I found his mom, who I love so much. Like, who would have thought you would vibe with your partner's mom, right? That's never happened to me before, because that's not normal. My mom abandoned me. I'm trying to force a smile here. And to meet his mom, who I am convinced is an angel. Like, I don't even believe in heaven and hell, but all I know is she is, like, out of this world amazing. She bakes pies. She shows up with soup if you're sick. I'm like, what? Who does that? You know, it sadly not weirded me out. It triggered me. And if any of y'all are watching this, like, this sucks. BPD sucks. To find the most bizarre, random, inexplicable things. It's actually not inexplicable. It's explicable, if that's the opposite. It makes sense to feel triggered by, yeah, the world's best mom. Because what I have is the world's worst mom. So, yeah, I found myself envious of my partner having what he has with his family, with his mom in particular. It's wild to have to feel triggered by something so wholesome. Here's another curveball for you. Pets are a trigger. Like, FYI, if you're listening, if you have BPD and if you have felt weird feelings of getting triggered around, you know, like your partner's pet, there's nothing wrong with you. I mean, it's a BPD thing. And that's not to say that's wrong, like that you're flawed. Like, we are the way we are. I am this way. It's not good. It's not bad. It is what it is. So I'm really talking to myself here. I'm not trying to talk down to anyone else. But it was just empowering to learn that. One of my therapists had brought up that point, which I was not aware of, that pets are a known thing to be triggering if you have BPD. Because this partner of mine has also the world's cutest gecko. And I found the gecko to be triggering. And the fact that I found a cute gecko and then the world's best mom triggering, I knew that's on me to own. I'm like, I don't know why the fuck I feel these feelings. And initially, you know, at least with the gecko, I hate to say it, I shoved those weird feelings away. I didn't even want to tell my partner, like, hey, I find your pet gecko triggering. I was like, hell no, I'm just gonna shelve that for later. But one thing I learned about trauma is if you don't deal with it, it's just gonna come out sideways. And it did. It eventually reared its ugly head, and then it was like this awkward conversation. Like, yeah, so I don't know why, but I find your gecko triggering. And then way later when I was, with this one therapist and told him about that, he's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Pets can be triggering, are triggering. When I grew up, I still, as an adult, like, I'm not acknowledged. I never got the attention and care and love from I'll just say my mom. I got it from my dad, but there's a huge asterisk. Growing up with this absence, this deficit of nurturing, it shows up in my relationships. I'm just trying to be grateful. Like, okay, there's a name for it. It's called BPD. It's called trauma. It shows up in these ways that from the outside make me look like a crazy person. Like, I don't know what's her deal with getting triggered by a goddamn gecko. But now it's like trying to practice that self-compassion. Okay, it is what it is. It actually makes a lot of sense for why I'm getting triggered, is because, this other being is getting attention from my partner, pet or otherwise. I just want to share that with anyone who is feeling weirded out by feeling triggered by another person's pet. This very thing happened in my previous relationship where, it didn't help that this person shared a dog with their ex. I'll just say, like, that is not ideal for the person they're newly dating, in which case it was me. So it was that on top of, I have BPD, because at the time, this was back in 2012, I didn't know that. And side note, I like how the lighting's getting all dark and dramatic here. I did not expect to talk for 22 minutes and still going, and I'll wrap it up soon. Insert Dave Chappelle's wrap it up box. I think that was the start of really like my recovery journey and going to therapy, because with undiagnosed BPD, oh my God, I was drunk every other night, getting triggered by the dog. Anything and everything can and will be a trigger. It's a fucking hard way to live. It's why no one wants to be with me. I don't even want to be with me. But I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to give in to the suicidal ideation. No. The temptation is there, but no. Little Julia got us this far. I owe it to her to keep fucking fighting this fight. And even if my family chooses to betray and gaslight me, which is very, factor in emotional dysregulation, like, it's a bad cocktail. But I'm not gonna give up. I want to. I really do. I still don't see a path forward. But I'm just gonna keep taking things one breath at a time. And with that, I am gonna take little Julia and I out to Emeryville to our new temporary teeny tiny home. So grateful for it. All right, stay tuned. Thank you for listening. If you made it this far, I love you. My spirit name is Long Goodbye. I don't know how to wrap shit up. Okay, bye.